Hey, what's up, guys? Mystic Shot Podcast, episode 17.
Oh, 17 already?
I know.
What
The
happened?
the episodes are going by. The weeks are going by. It's close
know,
to
right?
tournament time.
And Christmas time.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah. So on this episode, we're gonna talk about our climb, some of the
Or lack thereof.
I climbed to masters. We're also gonna talk about the climb is not terrible, but we're just gonna talk about a little bit of maybe a few changes maybe Riot can make to make it a little bit easier for some people that don't have hours and hours to play the game. Because me personally, I don't have 24 hours to just throw on Runeterra. I just don't. So I can play maybe 5 or 6 hours a day, and then that's it. I can't put that much time into the game. So if there was some kind of help for the climb, then it would definitely go a long way. So that's my only thing with the climb. Because don't people say it's oh yeah, it's so easy to make it to masters, and I'm it's not easy. I'll say it's possible. I'll say it's possible. It also depends on where you started also. Because me personally, I started from freaking silver. So
it's a matter of where you start from, but it's not only a matter of when you start from, it is when you put in the most effort to climb. You can climb faster if you do it right at the beginning of the season. Right at the beginning of the season, if you're starting to climb, because what starts happening is that you start seeing all similar people, because everyone is so once you get into a certain bit, if you keep just doing it as fast as possible, you start seeing certain same people. As you start seeing those same people, you start to realize what kind of decks that they're playing, and so you can kind of put your deck in it's all about that. That's why a lot of people who get to masters, the best people and that, always do it within the first couple of days or in the first week. Because by doing so, you actually are limiting the number of people you're going to be up against, giving you a kind of an insight into how they play and what they play. Whereas the longer and longer you leave it, more and more people get. So it's the hardest time to climb is now when it's near the end of the season or near when you get, because you got so many people who are also making that climb who then end up in that same bracket with you. The deck variations and gameplay variations change up so much, and so that's one thing I will say as something which is to be noted.
Yeah, it's towards the end of the season, it becomes less of a grind and more of a marathon. it's like you literally need the stamina to make it to the top. It becomes less of skill and more of just, do you have enough time? Honestly.
Yeah.
Because, don't get me wrong, it's nice that you don't go down ranks. Because if you went down ranks, say for instance, if you lost enough games in Diamond, you went to Plat?
Oh
God.
Be done.
Oh God. It'd be crazy. The grind would be ridiculous. But I'm happy that it's not like that.
I'm in Diamond 4, and I can tell you now, because of the amount of meme decks and that I play on stream, I'll tell you now, if that was a thing, I'd be down in bronze or something. if that was a thing, how long I've been in Diamond 4. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, we could talk about it after a little bit more in depth when we finish our pick a good card. But yeah, that's my hot take for the tournament stuff. But the seasonal tournament looks pretty cool. It has its own tab already, so it looks pretty cool. And then also the gauntlet from before, they said that's kind of more or less how the tournament is gonna go.
Yeah.
So it looks pretty cool.
I actually like the way that runs.
Yeah,
right,
same.
Right. So here's the thing. Yeah. So I don't know about you, but I actually played in a few tournaments. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Never did well. I don't actually know whether or not you've played in any of the Legends of Runeterra tournaments to know how they kind of run.
Yeah, I have. I've played in about maybe 3 or 4.
See, the thing that I don't like about the way that they run is that you literally have to post. I mean, I can understand why it's done that way. Okay, I can understand why it's done that way because it's to stop cheating and to stop finishing. But you post your deck lists up on there, and your opponent can look at your deck lists, and basically that's how they determine what they're going to ban and what they're going to finish. And I get it because basically there's nothing to stop you from playing 2 very similar decks with the same champions, but with a few different cards in it. So like obviously, because that is cheating. When you're going into a tournament, you go in with however many decks they tell you, and that's it. You're not supposed to go with any more decks than that. So I understand the reason why it's done that way. The problem with that way is that your opponent knows everything that you've got. And so therefore they know, like, if you're running like 1 copy of Ruination, if you're running they know those counters are in there. They know what they're playing around. And that's always been my problem with those tournaments, is that the fact that your opponent knows like a little bit too much. Whereas in this tournament mode, because it's being run by the game, you lock in your 3 decks, and then your opponent only gets so you get to see what champions they're playing, but that's no indication of what that deck is. I don't know whether or not you've already seen people who have been baiting, like putting deck lists up where they've been baiting. So they've got 1 copy of Twisted Fate, 1 copy of Elise, so it shows up as those 2 being the champions in the deck, so you instantly think, oh, this is a go hard deck.
Yeah.
This is a go hard deck, but it's actually an Undying deck. The rest, it's got those 2 champions. The rest of it is Bilgewater and Vivi is Undying, and the other one where they've done Freljord with Shadow Isles, and done it as Anivia being the champion. So you think, oh, this is an Anivia Rekindler Finishing deck, and it's actually a Fearsome deck. Do it to him. It's certain things like that, and that can happen when you don't have to post that deck list, because it basically, because let's face it, okay, the way that a tournament runs is that you make your decks, you know where its strengths are, you know where its weaknesses are, and when you comes to the ban, you're banning the deck that you know it's, so like an aggro, control, mid-range, whatever, you know that is my weak spot, so I'm going to ban that deck. Whereas if you on the outside think that it's a control deck, and so you ban it, and it turns out that it's an aggro, it's that kind of thing that I like more about this kind of mode, and it being an in-game thing, is that it allows for a little bit of trickery and not your opponent knowing every single card.
Yeah, it allows for a little bit of like you're able to switch it up on them. Like you just because of your champions, like you said, you could just play 2 copies of those champions. They don't know how many copies you're playing. They have no idea. They're just like, oh, they just see Elise and, like you said, TF. They're like, oh yeah, it has to be a go hard deck. So then they start playing like it's a go hard deck, and then you drop freaking bombs on them, and they're like, wait, hold on, what?
Exactly. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. It's that kind of thing. So, I do apologise, because yet again I'm going to mention it's a card game that shall not be named. But also, it's hilarious right now, because obviously we're getting a lot of people over from that card game, because they dropped the ball a little bit of this latest Battle Pass thing. There's just like so many problems happening over there. So many fires they're putting out. But I actually got involved in tournaments with them as well. And I like the way that they did tournaments. The way that they did tournaments is that, so the second that you go into a one versus one, which I think is actually possible in this as well. I can't remember. When you go into a 1 versus 1, you then can't edit your decks, can you?
No.
From what I remember. you can't edit your deck. So what they used to do is say that you basically had to clear your deck lists and just have the tournament deck lists, and then you would stay in that you'd stay in that 1v1, because you basically translate, if you're in that 1v1, you then can't drop out. You get instantly disqualified if you drop out of the 1v1, because while you're in there, you're unable to edit decks and unable to do anything like that. So those decks that you're going in with are the decks that you're going in with, but your opponent still can't see what's in them. They can just see what regions they are, and they can potentially see what champion or what card you put on the card theme, which, to be fair, you can change the card art on these ones, so you can basically make it like, you can trick people with the card art if it was doing it like that as well. But that's the idea, is that, so they know what decks they're up against, what regions they're up against, but they don't know what's in them. And I like the idea of that, because that just, I don't know, it's what makes it more interesting, because it makes it that little bit more, you need a little bit more knowledge and a little bit more kind of like trying to work out, like, okay, right, what is the most likely thing they're going to be running? And I like that more. I do know there's a lot of people who will disagree with that, but I just think that, because being a guy who makes meme decks and trickery decks, that's what gives me my benefit. The second that I have to post my deck list and people can see what's in them, like, oh, well, he's running this, and this, so we know which way he's going. My whole thing is trickery, so I don't actually get to do any of that in tournaments.
Yeah,
because everyone knows what I've got.
Yep, it's basically over. You're like, damn, I can't even do X, Y, and Z. It's done.
It's like, because most decks that I run are decks which, like, you know, like a perfection deck, or like a bit like, there's decks which have got certain things that have to go off to allow them to get to their point, and if your opponent knows what's going on, then they just play around it. That stops you. That's for me. So that's just a personal thing. But I'm very happy that they're running a tournament and said the way they are, because it does allow for some trickery rather than the thing, because it is just within their game. I love how much Riot is supporting this game and this esport by doing these things. I just think it's a really good job that they're doing.
Yeah.
In general.
Yeah, I agree. It's amazing to see a company actually supporting the game that they make, honestly. Yeah. And I feel like from the beginning everybody knew that Riot was gonna do it, but because of COVID and what was going on in the world, people were like, "Damn, are they?" Like, I don't know. But it's happy to see that they didn't forget about us. They're like, nah, we got y'all. Don't worry. We gonna give y'all seasonal tournaments every single season. Don't worry, guys. We got y'all. So it's good to see that they remembered about us and stuff.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
But
definitely.
All right. Oh yeah, right? I didn't even. No. I mean, on the podcast, I didn't even ask how you doing, Gomez. How you doing?
I'm all good. Man. How you doing?
I'm okay.
As we said before, good to hear that you had a good Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So good to hear that it went down well. Hope everyone else had a good Thanksgiving. Who celebrates. So good. Ooh.
Oh
noise.
My.
Oh my.
It is. Apparently, I don't even know why my phone goes off for the weather changing in Hawaii. I have
important stuff. It's very important stuff to know when the weather changes in Hawaii.
Like, I'm like, why are you going off?
I mean, it's very important to know when that happens. I will admit that.
Apparently, but anyways, yeah, we can go into our pick a card for the week. Let me think. I think my pick a card, because I've been playing. I'm pretty sure you pay attention to like YouTube and stuff like that. You know Alan, right?
I know Alan, yeah.
Yeah, I took that Ezreal Draven deck and I made a little version of my own, and I've been playing that.
Nice.
Yeah, that is what got me climbing.
Ezreal Draven is actually a really powerful deck, and I don't know if you saw that there was a little bit of kerfuffle between what's that kerfuffle? It wasn't really between Alan and Mugwai, because Mugwai basically on Twitter, Mugwai basically posted saying, like, I don't really see like this like the Ezreal Draven deck is not really a big deal. Which, admittedly, there are ways of countering it.
Yeah.
And things like and then Alan came back and said, "Well, no, actually, it's one of the best performing decks at the moment in the right hands because if you know how to use it properly, it can be a very powerful deck." And like, so basically, there was like little fear about that, but it's a really good deck. Without a shadow of a doubt, really good deck. Those two could work really well together.
Yeah, it's a really good deck, in my opinion.
Really good deck. Is there a specific part of that deck as being your favorite card, or?
Oh yeah, yo, freaking damn! I just forgot the 8th drop.
Well, Farron.
Yeah, yo, Farron.
Yeah, that's the man.
Yo, Farron.
Captain Farron.
Farron is crazy. Honestly, I knew that card was crazy, but it's like when you play him as a bomb like that. Because he's basically like he's like Ezreal's, of course, the finisher, obviously, but like right. Farron's like finisher 2.0, like because he's just like you just play him on 8. If they don't have Vengeance or Crumble or anything like that, you smash in and they can't even do anything.
And then you just got the Decimates to clear up. Yep. So he's a very powerful end game win condition, Farron. When It's one of those things. Well, okay, I was actually going to say that Captain Farron is my least favorite card, just because of the decks that I play. And literally, the second he drops, if I've not got the answer, I mean, don't get me wrong, the decks that I run do have answers, but if I don't have the answer when he drops, it's just like, well, I guess I just die.
Wait,
but
sometimes I'm. Here's the thing with that deck. Sometimes you can make them have to answer your Draven, because Draven flips. I mean, you don't really want to flip Draven in that deck, but you can make him flip in that deck really easily.
Yeah.
So, you make them answer your Draven, and then they don't have an answer for Farron, and then you're like, oh, well, now we're here. Yeah. So that's the whole gag. But you should always save your removal for Farron or Ezreal, because those are the finishers.
Those are the two men who can really screw shit up. You have to deal with Draven, because Draven is like a quick attack guy who just every single time that he's attacking in, you could put little shit in front of him. That you can, because the thing of it is that you need to remember that he's always got that axe in hand. So anything you put in front of him, you need to have something which has got like a certain amount of health.
It has to have like.
You need to make sure you have to calculate it. You have to calculate it with how much axes he has in hand, and you're just like, okay, I'll play him here. It should be fine. Like, but it's really hard to remove Draven unless you are using removal. But the second you use that removal on Draven, Ezreal and Farron then become like your big man problems. So you've got no removal for them. So it's a really powerful deck when used, when used correctly.
Like, well, I think.
Hey, Twin Sons.
I think people were playing. Yeah, what's up, Twin Sons? I think people were playing Alan's list, because in my list, I'm not playing. Oh man. I'm sorry, I'm a little tired. I
believe in your abilities.
I was up until like 2:00 playing.
I believe in your abilities. Come on, you got this.
The one drop from P&Z that rummages basically. I can't remember the name.
Oh, the Urchin.
Yeah. Zonite Urchin. Yeah. So I'm not playing that card at all. I'm just playing 3 rummages. So, and the reason why is because I'm like, why would I play a target for Go Hard? Like a target to instant die for Go Hard. That's just my opinion.
Sure, okay, I'll give you that.
That was my thinking. I mean, I understand why he plays that card, because he's like, you want to
draw.
Yeah, exactly. So I understand why he plays that, but I feel like now it's such an easy card to just instant die. It's like, what's the point? So I was playing 3 rummages instead of that card. But when you play the mirror match, it makes a difference, because you're literally you don't give them any cards to target. You just don't give them any cards to target. And when you play your Zana, when they play their Zana Urchins, you just clear them instantly, and
Yeah.
it gives you progress on Ezreal. And basically, that mirror match is whoever can flip Ezreal wins, or play Farron and stick to the board wins. Basically, that's who wins. So even though they bring you down to like 8 or 9, it doesn't even matter because they can't kill you. They can't kill you. The deck only runs like one Get Excited, and I mean it does run triple Mystic Shot, but if you don't give them any targets to target with Ezreal, then they can't do anything with them. So I think my deck's a little favored in the mirror match, but other than that, I could probably play Zarnite Urchin. But I don't know. I just haven't been. I feel like, in my opinion, hasn't been coming up much.
So,
to play
what's been your least favorite card this week? Because your favorite card's been Farron. What's been your least favorite?
Fucking go hard.
Oh, I mean, to be fair, I can't understand that.
I don't know. It's probably still go hard, but I said that last week, so
a card that keeps coming back. A card that keeps
You know what?
more in the deck.
You know what? I said go hard next week, so now I'm gonna say pack it. Nah, I'm joking.
I mean, the pack your bags is the worst bit of it.
It really is though. But I feel like another card that also fuels that deck a lot is freaking TF. Oh my goodness. Oh my god. Freaking TF. You play a goddamn keg.
He's such a versatile card. He's always been a versatile card when played with kegs as well.
You play a goddamn keg and then they freaking clear your board. It's just like, you know what? I'll take the go hard actually.
Yep. Fair enough. Yep.
Yeah, but and then also if you don't have anything, they freaking go blue card, and if you don't deal with TF like right away, they threaten to flip him like almost instantly, and you're like, okay,
you got to always deal with the TF because second TF flips, it's like.
It's done. It's done.
He's drawing every turn. He's doing damage every turn. He's gonna be stunning my big man every turn. So you gotta deal with him. But to be fair, actually, in that deck, it's less likely once he's flipped they have the things like to burst him, because a lot of it is quite slow speed or units. There is obviously burst cards in that deck, but it's less likely that they're gonna be able to get all three if you were to go for an open attack.
True.
That's just that matchup. But Vaza in the chat saying what do you guys think about Ezreal with Tom Kench? I like the idea because technically Tom Kench is targeting.
Mm-hmm.
My problem is how are you healing or do you just not care about Tom Kench living? Because
I was about to say the same thing. Well, how are you gonna keep Tom Kench alive? That's the whole. And I don't know. Well, I'm sure you pay attention to stuff. Did you see Swim's video where he was talking about he was just talking about random stuff. He was just talking about the KDA cards, and then he just started talking about how the cards are made a certain way, and how Soraka Tom Kench was made to be a deck. Like that, those two cards were made to be together. Like, not saying that Tom Kench can't be with other cards, because I've also tried Tom Kench with things like Vlad or like Tarek and stuff like that. Like, I've tried it with weird things. It's not that it doesn't work. It's just that it's not as good. It's just not gonna be as good as Soraka Tom Kench. It's just not. But because those cards were literally molded to be good together. They just were. So I'm not saying that it's not a good deck or anything, but I would have to test it a lot and try different things.
Well, that's the thing. If you go off of not 100% caring whether or not Tom Kench dies, it might be an okay deck, because obviously there's not. It still counts as target, so it's going to count as target towards Ezreal. It can still potentially remove some threats from your opponent's board. Mm-hmm. Your main things that you do have, which might be able to help, are things like what's his face, suit up. and whatnot that would be able to kind of heal Kench in a manner of speaking, because it would set him back to being a 4/4. So if he takes more damage, he can potentially heal slightly from that. There is also, would you like pocket aces, but that'd only be a heal for 1. Trying to think what else is in that deck that could actually potentially do a little bit of healing, but most of it is going to be really hard to keep him alive. But I guess Bayou Brunch as well can increase his health. So it depends on obviously. Like, I can see there would be a way of doing that deck. It's just that it would be very convoluted.
Yeah,
but it's doable.
Yeah, it would be and it would also be a really difficult deck to play, honestly. Like, it would be an incredibly difficult deck to play because you would need to know when to buy you brunch, when to eat your opponent's cards, and when to play as, like, you would need to know a whole lot of things to even play that deck, period. So that's just things to keep in mind. Like, you don't want to play a super hard deck for nothing and get nothing out of it. That's just been my take about like playing, like, not saying meme decks are bad, because meme decks are funny most times. Like, it's funny to play them, but when you play, like, when you set up a deck where it's like the win condition is so freaking hard for you to even maybe get in a game, like, you just set yourself up to just get a lot of losses.
the one potential I really like about the idea of that deck is the potential for Bayou Brunching Ezreal into Kench, and then playing another Ezreal and leveling Kench so that he spits out the other Ezreal, so you've got 2 Ezreals on the board at the same time within that deck, and then doing that's the one kind of concept of that deck that I do like the idea of. It is just getting it to happen and getting there is gonna be the hard bit, but I can see things along those lines. You could do, but your main thing is that, like, the support for Kench in terms of trying to keep him alive is gonna be a lot harder than if you were to try, because I mean even Kench kind of works in Demacia as well, because you could potentially get a what's his face unyielding spirit on him. There is potentials of him in there, but it's one of those things where once you kind of take him out of, like, the Soraka deck, he's kind of it's harder to find out, like, or out of Targon, where there's, like, heals for him. Obviously, as well, you can throw him into Freljord, where you can frostbite things, so what he's eating isn't doing damage to him. But yeah, it's trying to find that right combination with that.
Yeah,
but I do like the concept. I'm not gonna lie, I'm intrigued by the concept. It's making it work. It's gonna be the
issue,
the push.
Yeah,
but I do like it.
But yeah. I think my least favorite card is probably TF for this week. So what you've been playing over there? What you've been cooking?
Favorite card this week, without a shadow of a doubt, has been Splinter Soul, because Splinter Soul is just such an amazing card. If used correctly. Splintered Soul. Don't know if you remember the Shadow Owls card, which is summon an exact copy of an ally that gives it ephemeral and +1/+1. Playing that with in a Marauder deck, so that you make more copies of Marauder, and so that it's literally every single one that's attacking forward is increasing every other one by 1/1, and then, because it's already ephemeral and dies, playing Harrowing, which brings back all those Marauders that have died in the game, who are all crazily statted up, and then just go, enjoy yourself, my friend. The boys are back in town. So yeah, no, I've got to say, without a shadow of a doubt, I have been loving Splinter Soul. Splinter Soul can work in so many different ways with so many different when summoned cards. So it can work with because that deck as well has got one Captain Farron in it, just as a backup in case anything else goes wrong. But to use it on Farron, getting so once you've already used him, then using that, so you've got 6 decimates in hand. It can be crazy as well as the fact that it's any summon thing or anything where even you could use it off of what's his face, old Dreadway, to get another copy there to be able to just make that damage just massively kick off and things. There's so many uses for a turn when that can be used. It's amazing. So I've got to say, Splintered Soul has been probably my fun. It's because it was a card that I kind of overlooked. I never actually until recently, I haven't really been looking at that thinking, oh yeah, no, Splintered Soul's the one I should go down. But Splintered Soul, really good card, and actually is the cheaper way of using Dust Till Dawn on Karma.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Because the first Karma makes it happen twice, so that you end up using that. And technically, so it's a half price Dust Till Dawn that you could technically use 2 of them and get a board of Karmas and then work off of that. So that's what I mean. It's so many different things that you can do.
Yeah.
That's my point that I'm trying to make with that card. That I love it so much.
Nah, yeah, you could definitely do a whole. I was just thinking about some of the implementations, some of the ways you could use it.
It's a card that's kind of been overlooked for those.
Yeah, you could use Rekindler. You could use anything that's when it summons. Even though we don't have a lot of those cards yet, but anything that summons. I mean, also anything that buffs itself, like any of the fearsome cards, you could also use that with it. So yeah, it's definitely a good card. It's always been a good card, to be honest. It's just been if they have hard removal, then that's the only counter. Or regular things like Deny or Notify, because it is 3 mana. So other than that, it's pretty much you're good to go. It's
the fact it's a cheaper version of there's so many different things that you can do with it. It's the fact as well that most of the time, because you're playing that in a Shadow Elves deck, you got a Harrowing on its way. They'll just bring back as well whatever it's killed.
True.
I don't know. There is so many different ways of using it. So obviously, I said I've been using it with a Marauders deck, but there is also
which sounds really funny. I'm not gonna lie.
It's so much fun. It's so much fun to just attack.
I'm not even gonna lie. That sounds really funny.
It's a really fun deck, but there's so many applications for it. It's because I mean, technically, you could still use that on Mistwraiths as well, things like that. There's so the actual better version of that deck, because I've made the Marauders one more for comedy, but the better version of it is the Mistwraith one, because of the fact that it can bring back more. And that my main reason why I prefer a Marauders deck over a Mistwraith deck is that a Marauders deck will buff health, not just attack. Whereas the Mistwraith deck only buffs attack. So therefore, they're always they can be the most insane units that you ever know. Would you they go up to a 12? Would you a 12-2, or they can go up to insane damage? But that 2 health Mystic Shock, boom, or would you get Brittle Steel? But there's so many counters with 2 health that it's just oh, what does one do? But that's what I've got to say. Without chatting, that I've been loving that. Tricky in the chat, how are you doing? But
yo, what's up, Tricky?
That's been my favourite card of the week, and I did allude to probably my least favourite card this week. This week, I'm not saying to back up, as I said to you, your favourite card, Captain Farron, has been a thorn in my side. Because if I don't have the removal for him, if I've got the removal for him in hand, it's fine. But the funny thing is, it's not just having that removal for him, because it's played in such an aggressive deck. So they can get your health down really quickly. If you haven't got heals, then you can remove the Farron, but you've still got the 3 decimates in their hand. You think, shit, I got to work around these now as well. It's like, ooh,
still got 12 damage in hand, fam.
The thing with it is that I feel that I've been coming into many problems with him, but he's a really funny card and he's a game ender.
Yeah,
So.
100%. He's a really good game ender in my opinion. Like, it's just, oh my gosh, just you just slam him down on 8 and you just like, do you have the response? No. So I'm gonna smack you, and then he has overwhelm on top of that. It's just a nasty combo.
Oh no, shout out.
All right, but so I mean we can continue our talk about the climb in the seasonal tournaments. I mean basically what I was saying before the podcast had started was I wish they had some kind of reward for not reward for climbing, but like more of a reward for win streaking. Like yeah. You were saying in Hearthstone how they have like they gain like the extra stars and stuff like that. Yeah. I wish there was like some kind of way you can gain progression, because like for people that don't have a whole lot of time to like climb every single day, it becomes like really tedious. Like we were saying before, like at the end of the season, it's like the worst time to climb.
It's one of those things where that system works well for, obviously, because it doesn't penalize people. So there's no lose streak. So if you go on a lose streak, it doesn't then double up how many losses you've got. But the ability to be able to, so after 2 wins, you got to get 2 wins in a row, and then each win after that gives you a bonus win. Mm-hmm. Is nice because it rewards the ability of like having a good win rate, and it makes you feel like so after you get those 2 wins, then your 3rd win, like it basically means that you've had 4 wins, is basically like say the equivalent of that. So, and then just that progression, you can climb so much more faster, and you don't feel as bad when you lose, because the second that you lose, you're starting to lose all the ground that you've gained. Whereas with that system, you do still, if you've had a good win streak for a little bit, then you know you're not feeling like you've losing the ground, which is all the ground. That's the words that go. Is all the ground that you've gained is not just lost, because technically, so that's the thing of it. With it being a system where each win and each loss is exactly the same, you can get that win, but all it takes is a few losses, and you're just back where you are. And you keep doing that. Now, don't get me wrong. Like I said, obviously, if you've got enough time on your hands, then you can just
grind,
keep going and whatnot, and just break through it and just keep going and that. But for people, for like standard people who've got like work, who have got kids, family stuff that they've got to do, like there's so many different factors that can factor into people's lives that can slow people down in terms of the fact that they don't get as much game time, they don't get as much time to be able to play as many games. They might have a good win streak, they might have a good win to loss ratio, but they still can't climb because of that fact that literally they might get a couple of wins, but then they log on again and then they get a couple of losses, and it's kind of that kind of thing. So I would like them to implement a system like that, but I can understand if they don't, but I think that people would enjoy it. But then again, as I said, people it's one of those things where people, I don't know whether or not people would complain because they say I was starting to get too Hearthstone-y with copying that system. But
yeah,
I don't know. I think it's a nice system that rewards a good win streak or a good a win-loss percentage. Yeah, I think that's what it is.
No, I agree. Also, in the chat, Tricky asked if we, what do we like? Do we expect a Pale Cascade nerf? He said because were you saying Citria? A Citria Mistwraith deck? Really? Is that a thing?
Well, no. People have been playing a Mistwraith deck which is Shadow Isles and Targon, but the only Targon cards in that deck are Pale Cascade. 3 copies of Pale Cascade.
Okay. I mean,
that's literally all that's in there, and it's really powerful because it gives that deck extra attack as well as draw.
Yeah.
And it's and when you're already dealing with fearsome as it is. Like Fearsome is a really powerful thing, because it's got like if you don't have an answer for it, if you don't have the counter in either spell removal or free attack minions, then you can lose to that deck really quickly.
Yeah.
So
you sure can. Like
so
that's what made me start playing removal. Honestly, I just started playing straight because honestly that I farmed them. I completely just farm Fearsome with Ezreal decks. Like you just farm them because like you just have the removal for it. Everything just dies. They don't get a chance to get everything off. And then once 8 comes around, you play Farron. They're already low health because you've just been removing everything on board and then swinging. So it's just easy. But if you're not playing like a board cleary kind of deck, then Fearsome becomes a goddamn problem because they slowly I think it's a really big problem against against the Go Hard deck because most of their minions are lower than 2. I mean lower than 3. So you can't even block. You just can't even block. So you end up using like hard removal on the Miswraiths, and then they just what's the name? They just harrowing, and you just lose. So yeah, but that's the whole thing with that deck. You just have to beat them before they get harrowing. Like honestly, because harrowing is just a crazy card. But I mean, that card needs to be in the game. They need some kind of payoff. Like if there were say for instance if there was no payoff for Miswraiths, like it wouldn't be a deck. But harrowing it needs to be in the game. It's a crazy card, but it needs to be in the game, honestly. But that deck, Jesus, I don't know. I don't think Pale Cascade.
I don't find Miswraith that broken though, because Miswraith, as I said, they go up in attack, but they don't go up in health, and so there's so much removal spells which can deal with them. Obviously, you've got to have those removal spells, but there is so much removal which can actually deal with Miswraith.
Oh, he was talking about the EU tournament. That's what he was talking about. Oh.
I mean that deck has been put on the ladder quite a lot as well.
Yeah.
It's a Miswraith deck that runs 3 copies of Pale Cascade.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I don't think Pale Cascade is. I think the designer of Runeterra was saying like it's hard to nerf these buff cards. Like don't get me wrong, he was like that they're really good. Like cards like Pale Cascade are like really good, but if they nerf them any kind of way, they're trash. And I kind of agree. If you nerf Pale Cascade, like say for instance if they take away the 1 health, it's probably gonna be garbage now. Cause like, okay, it's a 2 mana card that lets you draw a card if you play another card before it, but it only gives 2 damage. Like, is it really worth 2 mana?
I mean, it can be when you consider the fact that card, which is basically the Diana spell, who has quick attack anyway. So the health doesn't really matter. It doesn't factor in on that one. Obviously, the health factors in on many different trades other than that. But if you're also running it with Moonman's got Overwhelm, so giving him the extra attack is also nice. I mean, there is things where you could justify saying that the extra health is a little bit too much. Yeah, there is ways of justifying that.
Yeah, I agree. Like,
I mean, when you consider the fact that Troll Chant only works off of health, it doesn't do anything with attack, but it still is really powerful. Actually, it does attack for your opponent, but it doesn't do anything for your units. In terms of attack, it helps them health wise. But yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like you could justify that because it's giving you card draw as well. Just saying that the extra attack without the health, you could justify it.
I mean, it becomes such a trash card though.
In a deck which is or in a region which has already got multiple heals, which is a 4-cost card which actually gives you a heal plus 4 health So Astral Protection.
Bastion.
Bastion gives an additional health. You can say that you could actually get away with nerfing Power Cascade to not give that health and only do the attack. You could technically get away with that because of how many other cards in that region can help health-wise.
It would be so terrible.
You still get a card out of it and still getting plus damage, which still can be good to force a trade that your opponent's not expecting is going to happen.
I know, but you would feel so bad, though. You don't think so?
You're only saying you'd feel so bad because you know what the card is like now.
Yeah.
If the card was introduced to the game as +2 draw a card, you wouldn't know any different. You're only complaining about it because you know how the card is, which is the same as every single nerf. If you didn't know and it just originally came out like that, you wouldn't have any complaints.
I mean, no. There are some nerfs that are warranted. Like, if you remember freaking Lidros being at 8. I don't even know what they were thinking. Lidros can never be at 8.
Lidros.
Lidros can never be at 8. Like there are just some nerfs that are warranted, like, you know, Karma at 5, like no. Hell no. Hell no. They're just some nerfs are warranted. You just know. Like, you're just like, okay, this is way too strong. But I don't know. I don't think Pale Cascade, given that 1 health, I don't think that's like super strong. It's not super, like, it's like, don't get me wrong. Like I will say, because I've played this deck on ladder a few times. I played against it. I've played with it as well. That decisive Darius deck that also plays Pale Cascade. The 1 health comes in handy a lot, because then your Darius is able to swing multiple times. And if your Darius is able to swing multiple times, 9 times out of 10, you're killing them. So, like, it does come in handy. And it does, and sometimes you're just like, okay, this is maybe a little too strong. Because you go from like, say for instance, they put something in the way that's like 5 health, right, in front of your Darius. Now your Darius is gonna die. But then you Pale Cascade, and then you draw another Pale Cascade. Then it becomes a problem. It's like, okay.
I'm not saying it's not helpful at the moment. I'm saying it's more helpful than it needs to be. Because that's the thing of it, is that you need to always bear in mind that it's two mana burst speed.
Oh my god. Tricky said deny at 3. Oh my, stop it.
Oh, deny at 3. Oh, the dream. But
stop it, Tricky. Stop it.
You can never deny down to 3. But Pale Cascade, you could actually get away with getting rid of that health buff. I'm not saying that it's not helpful, because it is very helpful to have that health buff. It can, not for 2 cost burst speed, it can get a really good trade-off, or stop a trade from happening that, like, you know, that's you screwing over your opponent, and its draw, as well as the fact that if it was on your attack turn, that's extra damage that you could be forcing in on your elusive or overwhelm or whatever the hell. So I'm not saying that the 1 health is like, you know, is bad in terms of it's really helpful. I think there might be that too much helpful in a region which already, okay, right, so bear in mind, as I said, you're playing this in the Targon region, which already has, as I said, like a Astral Protection, but not just Astral Protection. It's got Sun Blessed Vigor, which already gives you +2. As a permanent buff, but it still already gives you +2. It's got Astral Protection for 4, which gives you a heal +4. It's got Zenith Blade, which can grant you an additional 2 attack. It's got Bastion, which can give you 1/1. There's so many different cards in that deck, burst speed and slow speed in that region, which can increase that stat line. That for 2 cost, it giving you additional damage plus draw might be a little bit too much.
Yeah,
that's the point. That's the point that I'm trying to make there.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's a bad card. It's a really powerful card. I'm just saying that I would not be
Wait, Gomez, give
I would not
me
be
1
arguing if it was
second.
nerfed.
Give me
Of course,
1
buddy,
second.
you know what you gotta do.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
I'll try and keep everyone entertained. How's everyone going? So, yeah, I've got to kind of try to work out what the fuck I'm going to say and whatnot, while also being doubled because he's put down his headset right next to the microphone, so you can actually hear my voice twice. So I'm hearing myself in stereo, and not only is that annoying to when you're talking, hearing yourself back with a slight delay, what's also annoying is knowing how annoying your own voice is. This is what you guys have to put up with, by the way, this annoying voice. I find it annoying in my head, so how can you guys all deal with it? So, yeah, let's see what can we do here. I mean, we could talk about what we think is going to happen with the champions. So we know obviously Zoe is probably going to join, and so is she going to have the ability to steal spells? If anything, I'm becoming really annoyed about hearing myself twice right now. Literally it's agony on me right now hearing myself back. So blatantly.
Alright, I'm back.
Hello.
Sorry about that. And my girl needed something.
It's okay. It's okay.
Is he still on this? Is he still on this 3-mana deny? Oh god.
No, the worst bit about that was the fact that I was trying to fill the time by talking, but you'd put your headset down probably right next to your microphone, so I was actually hearing myself with a delay as I was talking.
Oh, my bad.
It's nothing more annoying than my own voice. Yeah, I'll deal with that.
Oh, my bad. But he said catastrophe. What about it? It's a good card. Gomez made a few videos about it.
Catastrophe. Shadow of Doubt is an amazing card. That it is perfect where it is. It doesn't have to be nerfed and it doesn't have to be buffed. It is perfect where it is because it's got that difficulty of the fact that you have to play 20 different cards, which can take time. Obviously, there is ways of speeding it up, but it takes time. But not only that, it is the fact that when it drops, you want that to be your game ender. It's a 30-30 with Overwhelm, which can pretty much... the only one who can stand in front of it unbuffed is Nautilus. Like, in terms of to stop it from being perfect lethal.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But it's one of those cards where it's literally just so amazing, and it's the fact that it can be still it's fair because it still can be stopped and removed. It can be stopped when it's first cast with a deny or whatnot, and it can be stopped when it's actually what it is by Vengeance or just Crumble, any removal card along those lines. Even the Noxus has obviously got Scorched Earth and the Guillotine thing, which I think is damaged, which it damages. So it's a fair card because it's got a remove, as well as that even in Targon can still hush it to stop its ability of Overwhelm.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be stunned. It can be stunned in Ionia. I mean, there's so many different
ways to stop it.
There's so many different ways to stop it, but when it gets off, it's such an amazing card to use, and that is why I just think that literally that card is perfectly set where it is.
Yeah,
I don't think it needs to be.
Yeah, I play
no changes.
I play it in the gauntlet.
Wait, no. Every single time that I run a singleton gauntlet, every single time I'm singleton gauntlet, there's always P&Zs in there, and I always throw in a little copy of that as just spice. In case.
Yep.
Just in case it's needed. You always run one for a laugh, right?
Of course.
So yeah,
it's funny as hell. It's fun as hell when you get it off. 100%.
Yeah.
I actually in the gauntlet I got it off twice.
Nice.
But I mean that I feel like that was all of our points really that we had to talk about today. Pretty much. I mean, I feel like personally, both of us are probably not gonna make it into the single tournaments this season. Maybe another season we'll try a little bit harder to grind, make it to the top earlier, and maybe we can make it into the tournament. But for this season, we're probably not gonna make it.
I'm definitely not gonna make it. I know this. I know this for a fact. I'm definitely not gonna make it in.
I mean, because once you get this, is the thing. Once you even, it's not even like, oh, I get to Masters. All right, I'm good. No, once you get to Masters, then you gotta start climbing in Masters. So even if right now we made it to Masters, it still would be hard for us to make it into the tournament because like we have to climb once we get to Masters. So it's just I don't know. I don't think we have enough time. But for all the people that are still climbing, keep going. You'll make it up.
Wish you luck.
You'll make it up there, and hope to see you in the tournament. I wanted to know if Riot had like people that were gonna cast the tournament already, because I would love to cast the tournament.
I mean, they've already said that they've got some people lined up in different regions. I can't remember who they are, but they have already said they've got some. There's some that there's still to be announced, but they got a lot of them already sorted.
Okay, because I would love to cast the tournament. Be like, yo, did you see that? Yo.
I would love to cast. I would love to cast the tournament just because I don't know.
You see some crazy decks. You see some crazy decks. You know you're gonna see some crazy decks because people are just they have the same mentality as you, Gomez. Like, oh, let's put like one copy of each champion and then play some other crazy deck, and they're like,
that's what I love about this tournament. That's what I love about this tournament is the fact that because you're not having to post those deck lists, as we stated earlier, because you don't have to post those deck lists. It's the chance to get some sneaky stuff in.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
One copy. I said like I just want one copy of Anivia in the Shadow Isles, which you get a Freljord deck, and then just run a fearsome deck. Fearsome deck. No one expects it. They just think you're going to be doing a control Anivia deck with that one copy, because all they see is the one champion. So I was like, yeah, none of that. I said the other deck is that one where it runs one copy of TF and one copy of Elise, making you think that it's going to be a go hard deck, but it's actually an Undying deck. It's just the unexpectedness of it. It's just like, what am I playing against? And that's the kind of thing that I'm looking forward to in this tournament is the people going, what?
Yeah, I think. Well, I'm sure there's gonna be a whole lot of it because this is the first tournament where that's enabled. This is the first tournament, so I'm sure people are gonna experiment, and I'm sure people are gonna run some weird things. And I'll definitely be, even if I'm not casting it. I don't have to. That's not the only reason for me watching the tournament. But I'm definitely gonna be tuning into the tournament 100%, seeing what's going on. But we're gonna end it here. Thank you everybody for watching. Thank you all the YouTube people for coming. Thank you all the people that are in the chat. Thank you Tricky for giving us some stuff to discuss.
Indeed, buddy boo. Thank you.
And we'll be back next weekend, next Saturday. I think by then the tournament will be over, right? 1, 2, 3, 4.
I think so. I mean, hopefully as well, we might be able to not only talk about the tournament, but also talk about hopefully there'll be some card reviews coming up, because obviously with the season drawing to an end and the new season coming out, and obviously we know that the new cards are coming out next month. Potentially, who knows? There might be also some card reviews.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to Victor, because I'm pretty sure he's coming out. Like, I'm pretty sure Victor's coming out. Like, it only makes sense. So I'm looking forward to Victor 100%. But we'll catch you guys next week. Hopefully we got some cards, and we'll see you then. All right, guys.
See you all.
Later.